Do you think that that Trump is going to be able to pull? I'm just going to go for the big question. Do
Okay.
you think he's going to be able to pull off the reverse upset, the fighting back and getting certain votes canceled and ending up winning and taking the presidency, stealing the presidency, whatever you want to call it? Do you think that he actually has a legitimate shot at it? And if he does have a shot at it, I'm curious if you have any kind of opinion on what that might look like.
So I'll be honest. I don't have a massive amount of information in reference to the
Yeah.
material of
Just give me
the
the
lawsuit,
conspiracy
the
theories.
legitimacy of yes. However, I don't think so. Like I really don't.
Okay.
And he can file lawsuits from uh like that say the counting was done irregularly or whatever the case might be. Apparently this happened with Gore and Bush, I
Yep.
believe were the two candidates
Yep.
at the time frame. I didn't follow that; I was too young. Um, but that they made that decision at it was like mid-December was like when that officially like all the dust settled and everything
Was
else.
and it was
He
officially
probably
pulled,
could
right?
do that. I think in his current standing and the amount of money he probably can be able to get some lawyers together and hold that shit up. But I think that with the way the public vote turned out, um thinking that it's all 100% accurate,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see a case of like where everybody's like, maybe we'll just like flip
Okay,
these votes or maybe
so
I, I,
maybe you don't see a case of him legitimately overturning the election. Now let's
I
say
don't.
that
I don't.
let's just to say that he decides that you know what he doesn't like that answer, and
Okay.
he decide. Do you think that that there's even a small chance that he says I don't even care what the results of the vote are anymore. I'm staying in power.
Yeah.
Do you think
Could he? I mean,
no,
couldn't he? He
I'm
probably
asking
could put
you.
some executive.
So first, I'm asking, do you think that he actually would, or do you think that no matter how much of if, or do you think that he'll actually like at a certain point he would concede? Like I'm just curious.
Oh, okay. So what I think this more reflects on what is my look of
Yeah,
humanity. Like
yeah,
I have a positive outlook on humanity. Like
okay,
a lot of people think like terrible time, lots of riots, like shit's really crazy. I think that humans have always evolved and done better over time, like on a
okay,
macro scale.
right.
Like we've always done better. So in
Humans
turn,
have
this
gotten
might be
better as a whole, as a species.
as a whole, we
Okay,
progress, we get better,
we've
and
improved.
through turmoil, we develop, we progress, and we
Okay,
become better.
right,
It's not at the rate that most people think we can, but
right.
we get better. It's true. Um, so I like to think that he gets out of office, Biden comes in, it's all hunky dory. If it happened, would I be shocked? No. Like I wouldn't. I'd be like, if anybody's gonna do it, it's this fucking guy. Like
So
I think now.
you wouldn't be like you wouldn't be shocked if he was like fuck it I'm staying the president and then we basically have like a civil war. Like that
I,
would be
I don't. The thing is, I don't know the legal ramifications of something like that. From my
right.
understanding, though, the election there's something where the election like doesn't have an impact on presidency or something like that. I was reading an article like and this was one specific article, so this might have been bullshit information. I haven't done contextual
Right.
like validation of this, but it's something where like the popular vote has literally zero impact on what it is, and it's not just like an electoral college um, um, presidency number debate. It's like literally the popular vote has zero impact. Like the House and the Senate can decide who is the president based on this information.
Right. If it's
Not
contested to a certain if it's contested to a certain point and a certain type of case comes before the Supreme Court, the I think Kavanaugh said this that they base it off of his statement of him saying that quoting an article in I can't think of it off the top of my head in the Constitution that's basically saying that the Supreme Court will not weigh in on the result of a presidential election, that it becomes then an issue for the states to resolve, and so there's a whole thing involving like how the states would decide a president.
okay.
And if and this was also talked about in the case of if there was a tie to I think 269 there was a feasibility that could have happened.
So yeah,
In
that's House and
in
Senate decide, right? From my
well,
understanding,
no.
like
So it's a special representation. Each state gets one electoral vote. So not like California gets multiple electoral, right? Each state gets one
yeah,
electoral vote, And as it
That's
stands,
Republican favorite.
Republicans have more states than Democrats do because Democrats control the coasts and a majority
Yep.
of the population in places like California. So they control these states, but it's less states, right? You have the whole Midwest and the Rocky Mountain regions and the North, where a lot of these states are red, and there's more of them. So in that case, the red states obviously would have voted Trump. So in a tie, Trump would have won. So I think it's something similar along these lines, where I just know that if if the case of the presidency comes before the Supreme Court, which it can't go directly to them, it has to go through all these lower courts, it has to be all this stuff. They've basically set a precedent that it's not up to the Supreme Court to decide who becomes president. At that point, it becomes a matter for Congress. So, or maybe this special electoral committee. So yeah, it's so weird that like I never learned this growing up in school. Like I had a politics, I don't know, a social and politics class or something along these lines. And I never learned like how complicated a presidency is. I didn't even know until, that I found it on my own about the electoral college. I thought that whoever won the popular vote became president. I had no idea that there was this whole electoral college. And in this most recent election, there was a lot of talk about it, social media. So I think people know what the electoral college is now or have some understanding of it. But I think that, 15, 20 years ago, not as many people as they do now knew about the electoral college. Unless it comes up in the results of a election, right? These places where it's happened in the past, where one candidate won the popular vote and the other candidate won off of electoral votes. But I'm not sure how many times that's happened. I don't think it's happened that often.
I think it's very low if I remember correctly. I know that that's like a commonly spoken about situation now, but if I remember correctly, like it's not the same prior.
Right.
But also the news was